Dick Brandt has discovered the big secret of life about 300 times a year for about 50 years. He has been convinced that each one was the big one, the one he'd stay with. He believes that about this one, so he's shoving it with us. Dick Brandt, here to deliver the secret of life, SOL 15,001.
Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and especially our guest. Welcome. In Toastmasters, a lot of speeches are motivational speeches. And when I've done some comedy, I've said that motivational speeches don't really do you any good. You know, they're usually something like, life is like a football game, you gotta try hard. Or, life is like anything. Life is like this chair. It sits around for a while and sometimes it tips over. See, I mean, you can't really make a life out of following most secrets of life, except this one. So I think I saw this or I heard the story. A fellow had, a team had just won the Super Bowl. That means there were 23 or 25 other teams that didn't get to the Super Bowl and didn't win it. And they were asking, the reporter asked the quarterback, so are you going to be able to do this again next year? And he said, you know, maybe we should be allowed to enjoy this victory for, you know, a few minutes before we go on to the next one. I think that this is kind of what we do to ourselves also. There are external critics. I was at a country buffet about a week ago, and a woman was talking to her 4-year-old daughter in a way that you wouldn't think you would talk to somebody that you really had a problem with, that you really didn't like. But she was doing it. And so sometimes we try hard in life. We try to be responsible. We have a lot of have-tos in our life, a lot of shoulds. And as I said, there's a expectation inflation. No matter what we do, we think, I should have done a little better. Now, for me, that gives me a problem when I have a list of goals, a list of things to do. Because that's helpful. It can give you some structure. You got some time to spend and you want to do it. You want to get something done and enjoy doing it. But sometimes you look at it as, I should have done all these last year or last week or many years ago. So for a while I went to a list called To Do Done. So I would write down something after I did it and then check it out. So that worked for a while, but it didn't help me get a lot done. So what I want to do is tell you or share some ideas that for the last few days that I've had this new secret of life has helped me to do 2 things. And it's helped me to get into the same lane as far as how I looked at my life, or look at my life. You want, instead of to be responsible, you want to be response-able. Able to make decisions, able to do things. As I said, or as I wanted to illustrate before, if we look at things as, I'm going to be okay later, then we run into the problem. You've heard this saying, you can never be too young, too thin, or too rich. So if those are the mountaintops, then we're all living in that valley of the too old, too fat, and too poor. And that's not a good place to be. All right, this is really a serious speech. So let's get to the happy part about this. We only have 2 goals. Two goals I have. Basically, it's to be happy all the time. So one is to be happy, and the other is to get something done. And I think the way that there's some things that can help us do that. One of the things is to set goals that we can do something about, goals that are in the here and now. And they can be easy goals, so they can just be a work on something for a little bit. There's a Zen saying, be here now, be someplace else later. Is that too complicated for you? It's kind of a neat little saying. It's not really too complicated. Another thing we can do in terms of what goals we set reminds me of another fellow. Apparently I spent a lot of time at the Old Country Buffet. I ran into another fellow at the Old Country Buffet. Same visit, actually, because I was preparing my beta version of the speech when my secret life was slightly different. And I said, are you having a nice day? And he said, any day that I'm looking down at the grass is a nice day. And the idea here is that if you and I don't set our own ideas of what is a good job, of what is success, someone else will set them for us and tell us that probably going to tell us that we failed. Now, when I did comedy earlier, I said that I had some really funny stuff. Got some really good stuff here. So let me find it before my time is up and share it with you. Often I'm sitting somewhere, I'm thinking I should do something. So I'm sitting here and I'm saying, I'm not doing this, I want to be over here doing it. So I'm kind of out of luck. You know what you resist persists? Sometimes it's hard. So if you're sitting there, think of yourself as already doing it. Well, I'm thinking about doing it. That's pretty much the same as doing it. All I have to do is keep thinking about doing it until I'm doing it. And then stick with that for a while. That worked out well. My wife was away over the weekend, and maybe that took away some of the external critic in my life. So I was able to learn how to use the washing machine and the dryer, and spent 2 or 3 hours matching socks. And had a little trouble today. I took a rug inside and washed it in the bathtub, and then dripped some water on the inside rugs, bringing it out. So that didn't work out too well. But I did do a lot of things and move a lot of things around. So I was able to actually do something. So the idea is, if you can focus on where you're at, and then find the part of where you're at that is going to get you to where you want to be. God, that sounded good, didn't it? This should be a serious speech, which apparently it is. All right. Usually that making fun of myself will get me a laugh, but even that's not working today. All right. So I invite you to see yourself as able to succeed right now. It's often, you know, if you're thinking of doing something, think of what you want to do right here. Don't think so much about what you want to do there, because what you do right here can lead you to there. And if it's doing something a little different, you can work on a project and then go back to watching Desperate Housewives a little more, then go back to the project, especially if you have some kind of a recording device, which I have. So that's what I did. And that's the idea. If you can see yourself already succeeding, look at yourself with kind eyes, and what you'll be doing is getting away from that internal critic by having something you can relate to. And you'll be also succeeding at something that I think really is true. There's a saying that it's the start that stops most people. So if you think of yourself as already have started, then you don't have to start. You don't have to become a hero by, I was this, now I'm this. I think I was always that. That's what politicians do. I was always great, perhaps. So let's leave the politics out. I think my time is, it's time for me to wish you well. Mr. Toastmaster.